Come, friend, and take a seat next to me. I think we'll have a beautiful sunset this evening, and I'm so glad you returned in time to watch it with me. How's your exploration of the duchy going? Did you visit Beauclair today? And the palace? Oh, you must explore it when you get the chance. Most of the palace grounds are open to the public, you know, as well as the palace gardens. But you must be tired if you've been on your feet all day, and hungry too, no doubt, which is exactly why I have prepared quite the feast for the two of us tonight. Well, I must admit I did order most of the food from the Cockatrice Inn. They have an excellent kitchen. But the cheesecake is my own recipe. Let's see here. There's crayfish chowder, of course. That's the inn's specialty. There's roasted duck, pork relays, baguettes with fish paste, dried fruits and nuts, roasted chicken, herb toast, baked potatoes and vegetables, strawberries, plums, apples, grapes, honey, and a small selection of cheeses. I wanted us to have a little bit of everything. And let's not forget the desserts. The cheesecake with raspberries, as well as honey and spice cake, and a couple of chocolate soufflés because, you know, one dessert just isn't enough, is it? And I also have 1 bottle of Herbalist. Yes, I know, it is quite expensive. But don't worry, old friend. I got it from the herbalist at Castle Ravello, free of charge actually. It was a sort of thank you for helping her replenish her supply of, what was it again? Wolfsbane and Nostrix, I think. Well, the food is served, so dig in, old friend, and let me fill your glass. Do you remember when we rented a room in that crooked old house in Novigrad? Pretty bad neighborhood too, but we thought we were at the center of the civilized world. Novigrad, the biggest and most exciting city on the continent. But we couldn't afford a meal like this back then, could we? A few years later, when I inherited this little cottage, which was completely unexpected, I was so sure that I would just sell it. I was studying herbalism at Oxenfurt then, and you went back to Vizima, didn't you? We were both very busy with our studies, and moving to Toussaint was certainly not on my mind. but I did pay a visit to the faculty library and looked up Toussaint. They had exactly one book describing the duchy, and I remember thinking that it must be exceptionally exaggerated. It did fascinate me though, and I decided I wanted to visit the place at least and see my inheritance for myself. And then the war started, and it seemed like a smart idea to leave the north for a while. On the way here, on what must have been the slowest caravan on the continent, I went through the first paragraph in that book over and over again in my head. I still remember every word of it. When a traveler from the northern realms first crosses the border into Toussaint, he feels at once as though he has stepped into a land ripped straight from the pages of a fantastic fairy tale. He will know no inclement weather there, for even the winters in Toussaint are mild and sunny, with only gentle, calming breezes and not a hint of gale. He will know no hunger, for the trees and bushes of that land burst with ripe and juicy fruits all the year long. He will know no loneliness, for each and every soul he encounters will treat him like a long-lost friend. He will not find a single backwater of dullness, boredom, or inquietude in this overflowing stream of marvel. In Toussaint, the wine rages in torrents, music plays ceaselessly, and everywhere the air is filled with the sound of birdsong and the twittering of beautiful maids who are never stingy with their ample charms when a handsome knight comes a-calling. I suppose it is exaggerated, but not by as much as you would think. It gets the atmosphere right, the feel of the place. It is enchanting, and so very beautiful. You know, I never intended to settle down here, but I am bewitched, old friend. This is where I want to grow old. Toussaint. I will stay right here in this little house for as long as I can. It took me quite a while, but eventually I did manage to get a business up and running. I supply most of the herbalists in Beauclair at this point, plus some of the ones that work on the bigger vineyards, like Ravello. They're often too busy to replenish their own stock, at least if they need something from the wild that they can't grow in their own herb garden. I never thought I could earn a decent living just from growing a few herbs and going on long walks picking wildflowers. I'm so glad you decided to come visit. when you're done with the city itself, there are a few other locations in the countryside that I would like to recommend. Plenty of elven ruins dot the landscape, with crumbling bridges and proud arches going nowhere. More than one of them is said to be cursed or haunted, so I would recommend visiting in daytime, just to be safe. The closest one to Beauclair is probably the old elven amphitheatre, not far from the palace gardens in fact, on the banks of Shade-Legade Lake. That's Eye of the Mountain in common speech. To the north, along the main road, is the statue of Lebioda, a local saint. It's actually quite impressive and well worth a visit. I also enjoyed the small village of Fox Hollow, a very charming place. But all of Toussaint is beautiful and charming, I suppose. Everywhere you go there's vineyards, small villages and farms, or colorful cottages that dot the landscape. Everything is a bit old and worn down, but that just adds to the charm in my opinion. Life is somewhat languid here. No one hurries. You take the time you need. It's a very relaxing way of life. This place has given me peace of mind. And don't worry about wandering Toussaint on your own. The roads are quite safe now, after Geralt settled down here, even at night. Yes, the famous witcher, Geralt of Rivia. He lives just over there, actually, across the water. He has his own vineyard, you know. One of the older ones, Corvo Bianco, I think it's called. He was called here by the Contessa to solve a vampire problem. There used to be quite a lot of them, you know. And once that was done, the Contessa let him keep the vineyard, in addition to a hefty sum of gold, or so I heard. And he decided to settle down here. And after that, he's kept himself quite busy. He rids us of monsters and bandits alike. Seems to me your glass is empty, old friend. Here, let me fill it for you. I have met the Witcher, you know, a couple of times. Apparently, I grow some herbs that he couldn't find in Beauclair. He wanted some for his own greenhouse. To brew his Witcher potions, no doubt. My impression of him? He was a bit rough around the edges. Gruff, I guess you could say, and more than a little sarcastic. But honest, trustworthy, and in a way, I think he has a nobler soul than many of the knights errant that pass by on the road, with shining armor and peacock feathers in their helmets. He certainly seems to get things done, and he has helped a lot of people. I'm glad he decided to settle down here. He is a reassuring presence. Anyway, after my work is done for the day, I often find myself out here, just enjoying the view. I like imagining all the hustle and bustle of the city right over there. Everything Beauclair has to offer is available whenever I want it. Shopping and parties, Gwent tournaments, art and culture, fine dining too. But then I also have my own peaceful little corner right here, set apart from all of that. I like to sit right here and watch the sunset every evening if I can. And then, as darkness falls, one by one they are lit. All the warm orange lights from the city and castle. I often end up sitting here far too late into the night, letting my mind wander. This is freedom, old friend. To have the time to do absolutely nothing. Just sit and take in the world around you. Do you feel the same way? You can stay as long as you like, you know, old friend. You can stay as long as you like.